When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
From the Vikings of Norway to my home down south to Washington, D.C., I've been around. I've seen it all, and I've come out on top. You better beware, for all you know, the bell tolls for you. Enter the bell tower or watch your step.
Ah, you know what? I was on mute. I told you my first night with the got a new system. The bell is tolling this evening for Hammy. Hammy, what was it you said about the Viagra commercial?
I'm just hold on a second. I'm writing down the that number from the commercial for that Viagra thing. That sounded really good. That was like apparently it's $600. Somebody $600 for Viagra, but I can get it for a nickel. Apparently,
exactly. What a bargain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you guys must be big time because I think I've heard that same commercial in the middle of Sean Hannity.
They do. They play it late night on Fox News. They play that one and a couple of other commercials there. Yeah, we got big time sponsors, man.
Yeah. Are you going to start playing the Call the 18-year-olds as well? That's no. Another one you see late night?
Absolutely not. I cannot see our fearless leader Rick really jumping on the bandwagon with that particular sponsor. But hey, you never know. You know what? Which one I love? Good evening, folks. We're just jumping right into the show, and this is just like Hammy and I to do this. But we're really glad that you're here tonight, and for whom the bell tolls. And Hammy, it's really great to have you from AltCon Radio. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there goes my voice changing. Thank God.
Hi ho. Yeah, I know. I would.
So I'm going to go back to being 12.
I would think you'd be past that by now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, no, not Hammy. Still got some voice changes going on, but we're really glad to have you guys. And, you know, Hammy, we've been through a lot together the past few weeks. It's been a crazy few weeks. But we had a great time Friday night on Getting Hammered on AltCon. And I think we're going to have a good time tonight, too.
Excellent. And I'm doing a show tomorrow night. I'm just going to plug my own station here. But
Please do.
We Getting Hammered on Friday nights, which we used to do very regularly all the time. We don't necessarily do it as regularly now, but I do it when I feel like it. And tomorrow night we're going to do our Halloween special. But I have invited sort of a little cross-pollination here. I've invited the kind folks from K98, with the exception of Bunny. to come on and call in the show tomorrow night.
You mean that we're kind, with the exception of Bunny, or you've
saying,
invited us
no,
with the exception of Bunny?
Well, that's a point. No, no, she doesn't fall in the kind category where really. No, I'm just saying everyone but Sam is invited.
Sam really is very kind. You wouldn't necessarily know it by some of her tweets, but she is she is a wonderful person. She will not hesitate to tell you to shut up and get her a sandwich, though.
Yeah, well, no, she stole that from me. That's why she's not invited.
Yeah, everybody stole it from you. We all use it now, Hammy. It's one of my favorite sayings. So, anyway, how about that being
against the libs, though, right? Because sort of the whole entitled mentality, right? And it's in the end, you can't do anything. You certainly can't carry on an argument or a conversation or anything else. You can make no salient points. So go do something you might be good at, which is make a sandwich. And by the way, you know, do something that's going to be good for us, anybody, me especially, because you're killing me right this second. That's generally where that comes from.
Ah, okay. I thought it was a man-woman thing. I mean, you know me. I'm not one to play the victim, but I thought it was.
No, I say it to, I say it to men. I say it to women. It doesn't matter. And the only kick that you get out of it a little bit more if you say it to a woman, especially if it's a real super progressive liberal woman, is that she'll completely go off the deep end, and I look for that. I enjoy that. So.
I hear ya. So anyway, it's still one of my favorite sayings. I got a couple more, which of course is you can't fix stupid. But I was in Georgia with my dad not too long ago. We went into a little restaurant in Colbert, Georgia, which is pretty much out in the middle of nowhere in northeast Georgia. And there was a sign on the wall right next to "You can't fix stupid." It said, "I would agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong." Mm-hmm. I think that's one of my new favorites. I think I'm going to use it. I might use it on you tonight.
Wait, I was really only joking. Sam is more than welcome to come on the show tomorrow night and bring me drinks or something.
Get me a sandwich. We love Sam. Yeah, we absolutely love Sam. So she's done some fun. I have
absolutely no idea if anybody's going to show up. And for anybody out there listening, I've known Sam for years. I knew Sam before most anybody else did. She was actually, sorry, she was actually the first. She had the first show on Altcon Radio, as a matter of fact. We had other shows that were built up, but when it came to actually going live with the station, in September, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago, and just because of the way the calendar fell, Sam ended up having the very first show on Altcon Radio. It wasn't necessarily planned that way, but we'd been working for months to build up different shows and things like that. And when we went live, she just happened to have the first one.
Wow.
Then she me, and now she's over there with you guys.
Yeah, she's over here with us, but I feel like we're one big happy family at this point.
Not really.
Oh, come on, Hammy.
No,
I'm gonna make you do this with me every Thursday just for that. So, how about that Benghazi hearing?
Well, I mean, what? It really wasn't a hearing, was it? It really wasn't a hearing.
No.
I don't know that we learned anything new from it. 11 hours of questions and such, which means 5.5 of them were, the Democrats basically complaining about the hearing. So they certainly weren't going to ask anything substantive. And there's a lot of people that were left over afterwards going, hey, those weren't the questions that we wanted asked. There was a little bit of badgering going on. There were a few things. We did learn a couple of new things, I think, but I don't know that anything huge came out of it. And I said this on a show I was on yesterday. This essentially all she had to do was survive. The Republicans really needed to have some sort of takedown punch, something that the MSM couldn't really get around, right? They couldn't avoid. That didn't happen, and she survived. And in the end of the day, you certainly weren't going to change any minds. It wasn't anything that the MSM was suddenly going to, because they will. Once they realize that the cat's out of the bag, that they can't do anything about it, right? That the story is done, it's over. They'll grab it because it's red meat. Remember Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Once that became the story and there was no getting around it any longer, other than them accusing Republicans of only going after him because of, sex or whatever, which wasn't true, they still loved the story. Well, they've avoided Benghazi because there's no, I hate to say it this way, no red meat for them to lapse onto, and nothing came out of the 11 hours that they were going to. So they've brushed it under there. Fact is, their big story now, as far as that will go, is she gave you guys 11 hours into discussion.
Yeah, and we talked about before getting hammered. We talked about talking about it on that show, and we never really got around to it. But the offense and defense, and the way that the Democrats were using their defense to go on offense, it was really kind of amazing. And there were no questions; there were only setups. So by the end, whatever it was they were asking Hillary had already been set up for her.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, it was, they were complete setups.
I think the one admission that we got out of it, and again, it's nothing that the MSM is going to run with. The one admission that we obviously got out of it was she very clearly, 90 minutes into it, was very well aware that there was nothing about a movie, had nothing to do with it. She was already communicating both with her family. She was communicating with the president of Libya at the time. And by the time she actually sent out the press release in which she basically apologized to the Muslims of the world, forget the fact that she works for the Americans. She was blaming the movie there, but she very clearly knew. And so I guess if that came out of it, sort of that admission, whether she wanted to admit it or not, it was always obviously very clear she had told two separate stories, and she tried to pawn that off as, well, I needed to calm down the situation over there, so I went with the movie thing. But the fact of the matter is that she was still saying the movie several days later. Rice was on the Sunday show several days later spouting off the movie thing. This was, by the time they were doing it here in the United States, forget her PR, even if she turned around here, 10 minutes later in the U.S. and said something different. The fact is they did try to propagate that lie for days, and that was very clear coming out of there. But nobody cares about it. Nobody cares about it.
No, it's people that care were going to care, and people that aren't going to care aren't going to care. Like, you could look at Twitter or any blog or Facebook or anything and see that the liberals automatically thought that she came out a winner, and the mainstream media thought she came out a winner, but we heard, conservatives heard really something different. That admission, the duplicitousness of, oh, well, I was so involved, but, I never really talked to the ambassador, and no, he didn't have my phone number, but yes, he was my good friend. It's like every other question, there was a different answer. So one person would ask the question and it'd be one answer, and somebody else would ask it, and it would be a different answer. She contradicted herself so many times, I lost count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's those of us that weren't necessarily 100% behind her to begin with heard a lot of that. But if you weren't one of those people, you heard what you wanted to hear, basically. It was 11 and a half hours of make it what you want to hear.
Right. Sure. Yeah. It was, again, in the end, it was kind of like, if you see the title fight, right, and you have the current heavyweight champion, and he gets in there, and then you got the other guy that's going to get in there and try and beat him. The other guy really has to beat him before they'll say, okay, you lost. All the current heavyweight has to do is basically survive, get a few punches in, and not be a clear winner, but not lose, right? And that's what happened for her, but that's all she cared about. She just needed to make sure that it didn't rise to the level of suddenly being on the MSM's radar as something, juicy for them to take off with. She already has problems in the Democratic Party as it stands. She's already losing in polls to Bernie Sanders. She had the potential, obviously, of the vice president possibly getting in there and running. All she needed was one more solid hit, and her presidential, aspirations might have ended. That didn't happen. And by the way, I don't care. If everybody sits there and says, this is totally political, you're going after her because you don't want her to be president, damn straight, okay? It's not political to make her answer for her actions. However, at the exact same time, this person who wants to be the commander-in-chief, this person who wants to be the president of the most powerful country in the world, this president who wants to lead our this person who wants to lead our nation should be held accountable. And if by being held accountable, we discover that she is not up to that task, then absolutely we want to make sure that person is not elected to that office. That's not political. That is simply saying, is the person that wants to have that job up to that task equal to that task? No, she's not. Obviously, she's not. But the MSM's not going to go with that.
Yeah, because there was another thing that I think that came out of the hearing that a lot of people have overlooked, and it has to do with that contradicting herself. She showed us, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that she has absolutely no problem lying to Congress, lying to the American people, and under oath telling lies, because both answers can't be true. One of them might be true, but the other one is a lie. Therefore, you lied under oath because you contradicted yourself so many times.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them has to be a lie. So she proved pretty much beyond a shadow of a doubt, at least in my mind, we've already talked about that she's perfectly willing to lie to Congress, to lie under oath. You know, the people who fired her from the Watergate Committee have always said that she had no ethics. But, you know.
Sure. And that's the point. The Dread Pirate Run just said, I really don't want someone who's a proven liar to be POTUS. Withholding it from national security is one thing, lying is another. Or holding it for national security, sure, and lying is another. Look,
yes.
She clearly lied. But she had her excuse for it. And here's the thing you have to remember. I say this all the time. One of my own savings. You can't be liberal or progressive. You can't be too liberal or too progressive for the left. Okay, and you can't be conservative enough for the right. That's the way life is. In other words, we hold people accountable. We go, you're not living up to the expectations, the ideals that we hold dear to us. On the left, you can go as wild off the deep end as you want. Part of what feeds into that is this idea that the end justifies the means. Therefore, if she's going to lie, well, it was for her reasons, right? They don't have to be national security. They don't have to be anything else. It was her reasons. Those reasons that she can justify to people. And oh, by the way, if she can slither out of it and become president of the United States, then she gets to continue to, put in a highly progressive agenda, so they're really fine with the lie. Hey, I think they're Muslims.
Huh. Yeah. Some other people do as well. I think that you hit the nail on the head, and I think that Ron hit the nail on the head. Yeah, well, I mean, we've got enough liars in the government. We've been lied to enough. We're going to talk about another one at the end of the show. Actually, the whole show might be about lying inside the Beltway. But
liars that lie. Lying liars that lie.
Yeah, lying liars that lie inside the Beltway. It's Beltway fever. It's like you can't tell the truth, right? So, it's enough of them already. I don't even care, JD and Stacy are coming up after us, and they never fail to have a midget conversation on their show. A troll from under a bridge, if he'll tell the truth, would be fine with me at this point. I just don't want another liar.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
I don't care what they look like.
There's a total... Think of how far we've come in this nation, right? 200... what would it be? Now I'm really going to screw it up. 239 years later. Think of how far we've come in this nation from a point in which we were concerned. Remember when? Go a few years after that. So remember when the Constitutional Convention was first called, and they actually gathered all those men in a very hot room in a building in the middle of the summer. Those poor bastards, and closed all the doors and everything else. It was very much held in secret, deliberately, so that there wasn't, undue influence. They wanted these men to come in there and represent their states, but to meet and get the work done, right? They were so concerned, though, about people thinking they were trying to do something in private that it was an imperative for them to get out there and make sure people knew exactly what was happening in there, to get the text out to the people as quick as possible. That change that Congress back then, that Congress that was called to, it's slightly different, right? Constitutional Congress, but that Congress that was called to do that were so concerned about how people viewed them that people did view them as honest. Our Congress today, our elected officials today, they could care less if people view them that way, other from the standpoint of whether or not they get reelected.
They keep getting rewarded for their bad behavior. Look at Paul Ryan, and I don't mean to beat up on Ryan because he's not the worst guy in Congress, but he pretty much threw conservatives, or a lot of other conservatives, under the bus during the whole TPP thing, and was a key architect of pushing that through. I can't say that he was an architect of the retaliation, but he had a lot to do with pushing it through. Now he's our new speaker. Was anybody that's a conservative really happy with TPP, with the whole TPA and the,
Well,
switching
wait
of
a minute. Yeah,
acronyms?
you got to be careful there. TPA is different than TPP. So I'll go aside from you and from some other people that I know on this. I had no problem with TPA, and the reason that I didn't have a problem with it was because I understood that there was we do need an agreement. Okay, we do need and it should be done the right way. We need a treaty, an agreement with other countries when it comes to trade. Okay.
Right.
There is way too much of we have a huge deficit here.
Well, so it wasn't the bill, right, it was not the bill, it wasn't in the bill, and a TPA had things in there that have never been in there before, and it was a little bit overboard.
Well, all the TPA did was it basically said, when you bring that to us, we'll vote up or down on the TPP when it comes. In other words, it gave the United States, it gave the president, it gave whoever, some person that went to talk about this, the ability to negotiate with them on TPP. Now, let's take that in context. We're all fairly sure and fairly certain that we're going to get screwed on the TPP part of it.
Right.
Okay?
Well, it's the way that it was done. It was the way that it was done. It's not the fact that it wasn't even the content of the bills. It was the way that it was done, and it's the way that laws get made now, and they get made in secret, and people don't get to read them. And
okay, but everybody got to read. I will disagree with you, and I've disagreed with Stacey's in the chat room, and she's like laughing at me. Look, I'll disagree with anybody all day long on whether or not they think the TPA went through correctly. There really wasn't much to it. It was basically saying they can go negotiate this thing and then come back. I said, fine. I don't care. Right? Give them the ability, because otherwise we're not going to get anything, because the other countries are saying, look, we're not going to negotiate and then get there and have the thing torn apart. Basically, they're saying that to the other countries as well. You can't take the thing that we all negotiate and agree to, take it back to your Congresses and have them rip it apart, and then we spend the next 10 years trying to piece it back together. That may be optimal, but it's not what everybody else, basically the rest of them, wanted to do. Fine. I don't have a problem with that. It just meant that we promised them that when we got it back, we'd give it an up or down vote. Now, let's take a look at it. Let's read the whole TPP, okay? I believe it's a shit string, a shit bag, whatever else. I think it is. I think there's plenty of stuff in there that so we just look at it and we go, since we can't pick it apart, since we can't take out the things that we don't want, then vote the whole damn thing down and be done with.
You know what? Okay, so when you got to the end there, you made a point that I could probably agree with, but we're going to cut to a break before I disagree with you more than some liberals that I've had on my show, because I love you, Hammy. Cut to a break real quick. We'll be right back. Wake up, America.
The biggest threat in those days were from factions seizing control of the governing apparatus and making decisions that were in their interests. Today, we call factions political parties. George Washington himself warned the nation about the dangers of factions in his farewell address.
Office hours with Dr. A, 3 p.m. on Sundays, K98 Talk. We've got something to say to you, America.
do love those Georgia boys. They are awesome. Don't you, Hammy? Did I lose Hammy?
Well, no, I'm here. I don't know what you're talking about. Georgia boys. What? I don't know.
The Allman Brothers. Yes, you do. No, that wasn't the Allman Brothers that we were playing, was it? No, it was not. All right, so we are moving on to another topic. And because we went from the Benghazi hearing to just, politicians lying and that kind of thing, we want to talk about the debates last night. Wow.
Yeah, I hate what
That was my version of the inappropriate bill. Was that not crazy? Have you ever seen moderators act like that before?
Well, yes, I have. But I will say this. Ever since Newt Gingrich started this back a few years ago, it does seem to be the popular thing to call out the moderators. So I say that, not that it's not appropriate. I think it is. But it is stupid of them to put themselves in the positions that they continued to do, which is ask questions in such a way that they're going to get called out now because people are going, okay, no more of this stuff. But remember when Newt did it, and it was after the I think it was after the New Hampshire primary, and they had a debate, and Newt called them out big time.
Yep.
The next week was the South Carolina primary, and he won that, and I think he either won or came in second place in Florida or something. Kind of carried that through. But the whole deal was that he called them out because they were saying something about his wife and, all this other stuff. He was like, what's this got to do with being president, So I'm surprised that they even do it now. I think it's really stupid on their part. But let's talk about who we're talking about. The MSM has zero interest in having the Republicans get on stage and provide anything substantive to the American people that the American people can look at and go, oh, wow, I really like that. I agree with it. They don't want that. The debate just before this was a whole lot of, hey, Mr. Rubio, so Donald Trump said this. What do you think about what Donald Trump said? Hey, Rand Paul, Donald Trump said this about you. What do you think about it?
It's stupid, and it's been every debate, and even, you don't blame it on just the left-leaning media, because Fox News did, they're maybe a little bit less of it, but there was a point in the debate last night, and I'll disagree with you a little bit here. I saw, what's his name? Starts with a H. The guy on the end. I can't remember his name right at the moment. I saw him acting as if it was Let's Make a Deal or The Price is Right, or he was like Bob Barker or somebody, and not at all like a debate moderator. Now I understand ratings, advertising, and all that kind of stuff, but it was like, talk about watching a prize fight. I understand the candidates started it. They didn't like the questions. The questions were stupid because they were that kind of, well, let me hear you trash this guy over here for a minute. Or, let me talk to me a little bit about when that guy over there trashed you. That's stupid.
Well, they do definitely live off some of it. You look. There's a little blood in the water, and especially for Jeb, and a couple of others. Rand is not polling in anything. Jeb's not polling hardly in anything anymore. I don't know why Carly was practically persona non grata last night, but you have some blood in the water, and they're going to go after that because it's the entertainment factor that they're looking for.
Yes, absolutely. It's that entertainment factor. It's that ability to sell advertising. Again, it's all about the ad sales. When you're on television, I don't care if you are television news, and really actually when Cheryl Atkinson left CBS, she had a little bit, out of one interview that I saw with her, she kind of hinted to, the fact that it wasn't just them keeping me from telling the story that I wanted to tell. It's that they're so focused on what's going to sell advertising. Well, and, so you go after your target market when that happens, and, that one day they're going to realize that they're splitting their market up because there's like 6 networks that lean left and one that doesn't quite so much. So It's kind of crazy. I don't get it from a marketing perspective. I think it's nuts. It's like, who can get further left? You only have so much market to go, so. But
well, they only had. I think I saw the numbers. I could be wrong here, but I think they only had 10 million people tune in last night. So roughly 1/3 of 1% of the country. I'm sorry. Yeah, 1/3 of 1% of the country. I don't. That was actually the lowest Republican debate that there was, as far as I know. I could be wrong.
It's slipping. Yes, it's slipping, and I think that, that there's so many in the field, and there's 2 debates, and why are we still having 2 debates? Can't we get down to 1 yet? Will somebody else please drop out? And it just, I think people are
well, they could
tiring.
simply say we're only going to have. I mean, they could decide we're just going to have 5 or 7 people or something like that. The problem is that as
everybody whines.
Yeah, everybody whines and is unfair and stupid as they seem in the first place. They're going to seem even worse if they decide that they're crowning people by only picking 7 or something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So there were a lot of really good kind of jabs at the moderators and the media, and it made it really interesting, and it made the answers that the candidates gave a lot more interesting. But a lot of it was just so theatrical that I couldn't really even tell. I'll tell you who I thought won and who I thought came out looking the best was Ben Carson, because he didn't try to be as theatrical as everybody else on stage.
He never does he?
No.
I mean, no offense to Ben Carson I'll tell you this about Ben Carson. This is the first. Here's the deal with Ben Carson that impresses me the most. That guy has a brain like a steel box. Okay,
yep.
He has the best memory of anybody I've ever seen in my life. You see it in the debates because they'll bring up something. He'll go, "Wait a minute, now let me tell you." While you have it written in front of you and you just paraphrased it, changed it, lied about it. So let me tell you exactly what I said. And he seems to do that in almost every debate because they love to throw something out there and try and catch you while they've kind of twisted a little. That guy has you're not going to do that to him. But on the other side of the coin, he's a little like a dead fish sometimes. He's just not that animated. And people do like the animation a little bit. They do like sort of the sense of power, the sense of, I'm going to go forward and conquer kind of deal. The issue, for him last night and for Trump as well, by the way, I don't think either of them really did themselves either any good or hurt themselves necessarily. They were just kind of there. I think Jeb, geez, he just looked like a whiny kid up there the whole time. Rubio and Cruz, I think, really did a lot of good for themselves.
Yeah,
again, what was up with Carly? It didn't seem like she just didn't get a lot of time.
Well, when they broke down the time, hers was kind of right in the middle, I think. She definitely wasn't at the bottom, but it didn't seem like it. I think that might be a problem for her when I think that means that she's not making the most of her time, because it wasn't as memorable as some of the others now with all the theatrics, and she certainly wasn't as theatrical as some of the other people on stage with all the theatrics. You tend to forget when someone makes a calm, cool argument because there was so much, pointing the fingers at the moderators and complaining about what was going on.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought that Ted Cruz was very passionate. And I think that's where you're talking about he did himself some good, was really being so passionate. And Ron also had some good things to say, and so is Dexter in the chat room. I know. No, Slick said something, and I lost it. Slick, what'd you say? The problem is if we just let them whine, everybody will stay home if their guy isn't the guy. I think we always have that problem. Is it people? I'm not getting into that one. You're not going to get into that. Oh, come on, Hammy. Don't be scared to
because I get in fights with people over this. No, I'm sorry. I see.
Don't stay home.
Yeah. All right. Here, I will get into it. Here we go. Because I'll say it because this is your show and I'm just burning up your time. If I took a piece of paper and let's say in the end Hillary wins her side and Trump wins his side, God help us all. Okay, that's not what I want. I just, for everybody listening, I happen to be very strongly in the Cruz column. Okay, any rate. So actually, I was ecstatic he did well last night. But let's say Trump wins and Hillary wins. Okay, so I take a column to a piece of paper, draw a line right down the middle, put Hillary on one side, Trump on the other side, and I list 17 things that are important to me. 17 things that I think they have an opinion on it that they're going to do. And I can almost swear to you, strong likelihood, that all the 17 on her side will probably be a negative impact from whatever that is, right? Whatever it is I think she's going to do on that particular item, I'll probably disagree with. And then I go, okay, well, what about on the Trump side? Can I pull one out? Can I pull two out that I think will happen over the next 4 years that I can agree with? And if the other 15 would be the exact same thing as her, but I can get two or one or three or whatever it is, then that's worth a vote to me. To not have her do it. Now, that's really the worst case scenario, the devil you know kind of thing, right? That's, and I get some people going, well, we don't know. What do you do? But the fact of the matter is I can't do anything legitimately that would put her in power, knowing that either I vote for an independent or I refuse to vote. If I look at that list and go, there's even the potential for at least one thing to be done that I agree with, that would not happen under her. And there's two areas I think that are very important to think about here with that. One is that we're currently in a situation right now where anything that's conservative, anything Republicans put forward is getting vetoed automatically. Okay?
Right.
So give me a Republican in office that might sign 10% of what they put through, 5%, 1%, whatever it is. But right now it's zero. Okay? Unless it's what he wants, right? The other is strong potential for a Supreme Court. In fact, I think it's almost 100%. There will be a Supreme Court justice, a new Supreme Court justice nominated in the next however many years. Now, do I want Trump nominating that person? No, because he's probably going to put his sister in, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if he actually will or not, but people throw that up. But I still have to look at it and go, there's got to be at least an ounce of something better. So all of this to say, I hope he doesn't win, okay? I don't want him to. Besides, I don't think he'd be able to get much done with Congress. I think it would be a joke sometimes.
Yeah, it might be comical, but I'm not looking for comedy out of my president, right?
I hope it doesn't come down to that. And I think I can't get that message out to 50, 60 million Republicans. I can't get it. They're not going to listen to me. So there's going to be a ton that would stay home and go, I'm not going to vote for him. I mean, hell, there's plenty on Twitter and Facebook that not only say they won't vote for him, and there's some that legitimately go, I can't. I just can't. Okay, fine. You got to vote your conscience. There's others that go, I'd vote for a third party. Okay. I've literally seen some that said, if Trump ran, I'd vote for Hillary.
I have gritted.
These are quote-unquote conservatives, for Pete's sake.
I know. I've gritted my teeth and voted before. And I'll do it again. I would not. There's no way I would. Yeah, I wouldn't do anything like you said, whether it's stay home or whatever.
Yeah. If you're not going to vote for the Republican, then just stay the F home. Okay. If you're going to, or go vote for an independent or something. But if you dare, okay. And by the way, I have a list. I'm so evil. I have the list. I have saved tweets and blog posts from some of these folks because I'm so going to throw it at them. If you dare to call yourself a conservative, a libertarian, a Republican, a whatever, and you actively really do vote for Hillary, I will go out of my way to bury you. Stay home, vote for your independent, whatever it is you got to do. But if you actually cross that line and vote for Hillary, no. I will do everything in my power to bring you down from that point on.
And Dexter said he grits his teeth and votes in every election. That's good, Dex. Yeah, but and I kind of felt like I was at that place too, where it doesn't matter. It's like every year after year after year, I'm gritting my teeth to vote for the Republican to make sure that the Ross Perot thing doesn't happen all over again.
Yeah, we got screwed, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Totally got screwed. The country got screwed.
And Bill Clinton got screwed in the White House.
Stacey, I hope that you're not going to have to grit your teeth, that nobody's going to ask you to grit your teeth for Trump. I don't see him lasting, Hammy.
Well, everybody's been saying that from the beginning. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, Trump's in this for Trump. Okay, I'll be the first to admit that.
Right.
And I think he likes the idea of winning. I think he likes the idea of being president. I don't know what his real reasons are for running.
That's what disturbs me as well. I don't really see why, except that he's done everything else, and it's all about his ego. And we're gonna get out of this segment because it's.
Well, okay, so Stacey just made a point. Georgia's red, and the only vote of hers that counts is in the primary. You're right on that. Yeah. You're right.
That is true.
I can't really argue with that. If
I don't have that luxury though, and neither do you.
If you don't vote for him, it's a vote for Hillary no matter what you do. If you don't vote for whoever the Republican is, so either stay home or vote for your third party candidate, whatever makes you feel good. Okay. If you cross the line and vote for Hillary, you're dead to me. Okay, I'll say that.
That's funny. No, but it's nice to have that luxury of being in such a red state. You and I don't have it, because if I do that here, and if enough people do that here in North Carolina, then North Carolina could very well go to the Democrat. So we're not red enough yet for me to really do that. So I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do exactly what you said. Yeah.
We can't even make a stand at being purple anymore. We're blue.
That's sad. All right, so we're gonna get out of this segment because we're gonna come back and talk about the thing.
You're depressed hell at me.
We're gonna talk about something that not enough people are talking about, and it's kind of getting swept under the rug, and it's really annoying now. So we'll be right back.
It was February on the front porch swing, and the freezing cold would only bring you closer to me. Back then it was simple, 'cause love was all we need. But as we grew up, you needed something other than me. And it sounds crazy that you're leaving me again. We've been back and forth a million times since then. I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you go. Girl, that's just something I thought you should know. That even though you're angry and I don't want to be alone, I hate to see you leave.
According to me and Bunny, this show's not big. It's huge!
Mr. Trump, what are your thoughts on how should we go about making sure we can protect innocent life in this country?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
Donald, question right over here. What are you going to do as president in regards to Common Core? What actions are you going to take?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
That is like he can say that for anything.
Yes! It's just insert issue.
A lot of things.
Donald, what are we going to do for lunch?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
It's According to Me and Bunny, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
I hate to see you leave, but I love to watch you go.
Okay, like I said, first night on this deck, and I am all over the place. Yeah, I love producing.
That was just like, break.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, I'm getting the hang of it. Thanks for hanging in there with me. We have a special surprise for you guys, and you're going to absolutely love this. I don't even know how much I need to introduce it because I promoted it, but we have a special reading from the Book of Beaker.
A reading from the Book of Beaker, chapters 4, verses 1 through 5. A Psalm of Lois. Obama is my shepherd. Conservatives I shall taunt. He frees me to persecute his enemies. He leads me before his Department of Justice. My records I burn at your altar. The fifth I doth plead, and they cover me whole. He guides me in paths of hypocrisy for his legacy's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of Congress, I will fear no prosecution. For your sycophants, fuck.
Okay, I think that last comment, the last word of the verse was probably the best. What do you think, Hammy?
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah, thanks, Beaker. That was awesome. So Lois Lerner is off the hook. What the heck?
But, yeah. Mr. Koshinin.
Yeah, Koskinen or whatever.
Yes. Well, so he's not off the hook. I don't know. What do you think about this? Is this? Look at me. I'm conducting an interview here. Hi. I'd like you to welcome you to your own show.
Thank you.
Let me ask you some interview questions. Okay. What do you think about me? So, no. What does this strike you? Is this for real, or is this? Damn it, we're gonna make a show of something because Lois Lerner got let off the hook.
Oh, I think that the impeachment of Koskinen,
right.
yeah, I think that's definitely we're good. I think it's retaliation. I think they're angry, actually, but yeah, I think it's with some of them probably we're gonna make a show, but I think some of them are probably genuinely angry that the Justice Department is doing absolutely nothing about this. And their comments on the matter I sent you that article from the Wall Street Journal. The Justice Department, the comments they made were just really crazy. Basically, they said even though she talked about her disdain for these people, and even though these people were obviously, according to the IG, targeted, it wasn't her. She misbehaved, but that doesn't mean that she was criminal. Well, I'm having trouble drawing the line between her, air quote, misbehavior and criminal behavior.
It doesn't matter. There was no way, come hell or high water, that the Justice Department was going to prosecute her. It's not going to happen. I think that, to me, that's the other reason. Whether it's for show, whether it actually goes all the way through, even if the House impeaches him, it'll probably fail in the Senate because they won't have the 60 votes because we go by fake rules now, right?
Right.
So even if the House impeaches him, I think that's part of it. They're like, somebody's going to freaking get, some dirt on their resume here or something. I mean, obviously she's not. She's retired and get her $200,000 a year income that she'll have for life. So I don't know, what anyone was thinking as far as the Justice Department was never going to do anything to her.
No, I don't think anybody ever really believed that they were. For me, personally, I had put this thing so far in the back of my mind because we're at the end of the Obama administration. We're going into another election cycle. Whatever damage they wanted to do has been done. And, I mean, you barely even, they used to cry about Citizens United all the time. You hardly hear them crying about that anymore. So, and that's what this was all about. So, I had almost put it in the back of my mind because I never believed that they were going to do anything to her. I hoped that they would, but I didn't really think that they would.
There's a lot of there are a lot of very progressive groups out there that still run on. I mean, they're sort of their source of hate energy, right? They can fuse into long-haired hippies. One of their big things is still Citizen United. They love it. They love to talk about it. They mention it. Now, I don't think 1% of them actually knows what the hell they're talking about, but they sure do love to say it. It ties right up there with Coke, right? Koch brothers. I'm surprised they even drink Coke. It's right up there with Koch brothers, of top list of things they like to talk about. If there's TV stations, I don't know. Have you seen these? There's several TV stations out there now that are like Free Speech TV, Link TV. There's a couple of others. They're really liberal, progressive stations, and they play these kind of things, these little shows like Democracy Now and whatever else all the time, and air these kind of things on there. So they do have an audience for this stuff. I don't know. They're trying to educate the masses. I don't know. Maybe the masses shouldn't be so stoned or something, but I don't think they really care about being educated anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never met a stoner as stupid as a liberal. I mean, some liberals might be stoners, but I know a lot of. Well, I don't know a lot of stoners, but the stoners that I've known, not that stupid.
Arguing liberals over, a cop in South Carolina. So.
Right, yeah. That's opportunity. Again, opportunists always they seek opportunity like the water seeks the path of least resistance. So that's just about looking for an opportunity to make a scene, and we could go into what all those things are about. And it's the same thing that it was about with learners. So the fact that this is again continuing to reward people's bad behavior. So what are we teaching not just our politicians, but our civil servants many civil servants have very good hearts and do not behave this way, but who do want to behave badly? We're teaching them that it's okay. And then we're teaching we're showing those civil servants that do a great job that it doesn't matter that they do a great job. That's not fair. Don't tell me life's not fair.
Well, it was very interesting. There was something that somebody had put in. This is where they don't pay any attention, and terminology means nothing to them. Somebody had put something out about the girl or whatever, and I to a certain extent, I've taken kind of a standard line, which is raise your kids better, right? And they don't end up with a broken arm on the floor underneath some cop that just threw them across the room.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and but somebody, I trolled over, there yesterday, I guess, and there was some woman said, how would you like that if that was your kids or whatever? How would you feel if that was your kids? And I said I'd feel like a failure as a parent for raising an entitled brat.
Good answer.
She finally came back today and starts going off about how this girl lost her mom and her grandmother. She's not entitled. You don't know, anything else. And I'm like, you have no effing clue what I'm talking about when I use the word entitled, do you? You are entitled. If you take the very tact of you have to make exceptions for this person because of XYZ, therefore they don't have to obey the law. Therefore they can stand up to the teachers or to the administrator or to the cops or anybody else out there. Because you want to make exceptions for them, they believe they're entitled to those exceptions.
Right.
That's the 50% that we're dealing with.
It is. It is, and that's the conversation that you try to have. But as soon as you try to have that conversation, you're racist. So it is. I think that you make a very good. You draw a good connection there. It is. We're doing the same thing with our kids that we're doing with our government, that we're doing with our civil servants. It doesn't matter how you behave. As a matter of fact, the worse you behave, sometimes the more you accomplish. The more we'll give you, the more entitlements you'll get, the more famous you'll be, or whatever. You can earn fame by behaving badly. And you know what, Hammy? We're kind of at the end of the show.
I'm just getting started.
I know. It's a quick hour. Not the quickest hour on radio, because that's actually coming next. New deck. Stacy, sorry, I don't have your promo on me, so I'm going to just promo you. JD and Stacy are going to make you laugh after we are done here. So please stick around for JD and Stacy. You will laugh. And you will learn.
I hope they say bad things about me because I was talking about Stacy while I was in here. So
no, Stacy will just give her. Yeah, she might. She'll give it right back to you. But yeah,
damn
it. Stick around in the chat room and just give it right back to her. Turn the tables. But I am back on Sunday with Dr. Arrington and Hammy. You want to plug your show again?
Hey, tomorrow night, 10 p.m. on Altcon Radio, we're going to be doing the Getting Hammered Halloween special. I was just a holiday special. That'll happen in mid-December. And as far as I know, we are doing that with the folks from K98, Everybody But Bunny.
Everybody but Bunny. No, you got to
I always
Bunny.
say
Come
that.
on, come on for me, Hammy. So, see, I told you, one big happy family, whether you like it or not. Thank you for joining us on K98 on For Whom the Belle Tolls. Thank you, Hammy, for being with us tonight. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to make you do it every Thursday.
It's not happening.
You guys have a great week. We'll see you next week.
But I love to watch you go. Girl, that's just something I thought you should do. Even though you're angry and I don't want to be alone, I hate to see you leave. But I love to watch you go. I hate to see you leave. But I love to watch you go. I love to watch you go.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000. My heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They gave me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
Hoorah! Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.